What's going on, guys? We are here to chat about things that are not fun. We're going to talk about the epic layoffs that happened recently, a little bit last week. I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, what happened and what it means to RLCS as a whole, right? So we'll start with Epic. They loaded off, 16%, I think it was, about 900 employees across, all their stuff. So that includes, the Fall Guys devs, Psyonix devs, Fortnite stuff, and all that. So on our end, for RLCS purposes, we lost two of our members that were on the esports team. And this might not matter so much for you, but I figured explain why it matters to us who work on the show and all that. So first off, we lost Chloe. Chloe was basically a jack of all trades, which pretty much everyone on the esports team is at this point because there's so little people to do so much work. She did a lot of the content stuff for social media, marketing, all that stuff, writing up blogs, all of that. And on top of that, she was also our talent manager. She also did content as well, like at the shows, when we do those little videos and stuff like that. She was parts of that as well. And then, but she was also our talent manager. So basically weekly, I would chat with her. We talk about the rotation and all that stuff and get everything squared away for the upcoming weeks whenever we had shows coming up. Or if anyone had any issues, they could go to Chloe and there'd be weekly chats with her, with the whole team. And she was basically our entry point into the esports team, right? We present her with the issues we're having, and she can then take that to the esports team, and we try and resolve it or whatever. Or good things too, like obviously. But so that's a huge loss right there for like our purposes, for the talent side, for the caster side. So you're like, well, what's going to happen now, right? On top of that, we also lost Jake, who was basically the esports product guy, basically, at this point. Murdy was also part of that as well, but he left to go to the dev side a couple weeks back. Maybe knowing the writing on the wall, maybe not, who knows. But Murdy went on to the dev side. One thing I do know is Chloe and Jake, this came out of left field for them. They were not expecting this. They just got good performance reviews and all that stuff. So Jake basically would work with the players, would basically like oversee pretty much everything, like jack of all trades. We would chat all the time about formats, about point structure, about all that stuff. So whenever I was like kind of consultant on things like that, it would be between Murdy and Jake. So losing both of them, Murdy at least, he still has a job, which is nice. But losing both of them, obviously another huge blow to the esports. So basically, the esports team is now 3 people, and JJ being one of them was not happy. Like on Twitter, went out on Twitter saying like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like we already had a bunch of jobs already, and now there's only 3 of them. Basically, what she did say though is they are being merged into the Epic like esports team. Basically, I think mostly from the Fortnite side. And on top of that, with the Fortnite esports people, which I don't really know them that well, so I'm not really sure how many of them they have. But according to JJ, they also lost, I think, 3 members as well. And they're about to do basically their world championship, their premier event for like $4 million in 2 weeks. And Striker as well went on Twitter, who works on the Epic esports side, saying like it's very demoralizing, all this stuff, losing all these people right before the show, but the show must go on, right? But now they're all gonna have to do a ton more roles and a ton more work, and it can't be feasible to think that this will continue, right? With everyone doing so many different roles to try and make up for the jobs lost, right? So we'll see what this takes the RLCS eSport. Obviously, we're on a little bit of a like off season, like a big off season, trying to reboot for 2024. We'll see what comes of that. Right now, on the caster side, none of us are contracted. We're all just kind of chilling. We're all basically unemployed, just doing our own thing. So if you see any casters doing any streams or anything like that, support them. I'll rattle off a couple. I know Jorby's doing a bunch of streams. I know Achieves is doing a lot of training stuff. that to try and make himself better at the game and trying to learn based on that. And if you want to like pick someone's brain, you go to Achieves' stream. We got James Bot doing the draw, doing a lot of tournaments there, so definitely support those. Johnny Boy obviously doing his 1v1 stuff. Go support him. Shogun, he streams kind of other stuff most of the time. Go support him. Lemon does the same thing. Spaceman is a YouTuber all about Marvel and comic and all that stuff and Star Wars. Go find their channels. They're all amazing, so go support them. But for us, we're basically just kind of waiting it out, seeing what is actually going to come. My only there's two ways it goes, right? It's either you delegate more and things go more out of, like, it's more of an overseeing role for the esports team, for them to oversee where they hire, like, more people from the production side to just kind of, like, run the show, right? And, like, their hands, not necessarily off, but more of like an overseeing role and less like a nitty gritty getting into the format, getting into all that stuff. So it's either we're doing that or the Fortnite competitive team comes in and they all kind of like combine and they all work together and figure out like ways that they can coexist and maybe, you know, each team learns from one another for like small tricks of the trade that they have picked up in their own esport, and maybe that does make a better team overall, with more experience from different avenues, but maybe less specialization, right? Where maybe we learn a little bit from the Fortnite side, but they also don't know how Rocket League runs, right? So maybe some of that stuff doesn't apply. So see how it all works out. I think it's gonna be a mixture of both, where like we'll get more people in to help with certain specializations or whatever, but also like more overseeing out to the production side, to see how that all pans out. Normally, if you're going to have a really small esports team, you're probably just going to, you know, delegate more work out, right? And you're going to hire more people on those sides to delegate that work, but not directly with the esports team, I would say, because obviously those are firings, but more when they bring out contracts to production companies and all of that, maybe there's more control there. So we'll see how that all plays out. I'm not really sure exactly how it's going to pan out. And I think right now we're all just kind of in a limbo. It's definitely not good news. Epic did give them 6 months pay after the layoffs, which is very, very nice for sure. But obviously layoffs are brutal, and heart goes out to anyone that got laid off at Epic, trying to find a new job, especially right now with so many layoffs happening in the video game industry and the tech industry as well, as everyone tries to like get through this recession, I guess you would call it. I'm not really sure. But basically like trying to get through like this mini bubble bursting, right, of esports. So we'll see how it all pans out. What it means for RLCS purposes, hopefully you guys don't see any of this. On my end, probably there'll be more behind the scene things that we have to deal with as casters or whatever, which is fine. Don't really care about that. But it's more about hopefully the product doesn't suffer from this. I expect it to suffer in some ways. But hopefully we can put on as good of a show as possible whenever we do return in 2024. And hopefully I return in 2024. But yeah, it's not great. But it's one of those things where you kind of just got to push through, right, at some point, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is. And we'll see where we go from here. 2024 RLCS will be interesting, to say the least. I expect there probably be more changes coming or whatever. Like, it's going to be interesting to say. So keep the tabs here. I'll try and keep you updated as much as I possibly can. From the insider side, but obviously, you know, I can only say so much. So, see how it all pans out. But in the meantime, support the people you want to support, from players who are orgless for sure, or for casters. If you see any of them trying to do any of their streams or do anything like that, go support them, because they definitely need it right now. We all need it right now. So, that'll do it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully we'll probably do more of like a European power rankings based on the teams we already know in my next video. So stay tuned for that. We'll get more back into like the Rocket League proper stuff. But yeah, that'll do it. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.